Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. I found myself in the bottom right-hand corner. Whoa! As if by magic, yeah? It's like telepathy. It's like, make it move, make it happen. All right. Something that the powers that be at the European Super League couldn't do, make it happen. That has to go down as one of the biggest embarrassments in football. Like you've got behind the world of football's backs to come up with the ultimate competition, and everyone hated it. Now, what can they do to get back in the good books of people? Can they get back in the good books of people? What do they do from now, Steve? I know this one. Wait. It's coming. I know this one hit you hard. You was very passionate about it as soon as you found out news of potentially Arsenal being involved in this competition. You wasn't happy.
I've got a long. I mean, I don't know if Nathan wants to.
We're going to have Nathan first. But first of all, could you just read out the format of the European Super League first, just in case anyone missed it?
Yeah. What the proposal was? It was 20 participating clubs competing annually. 12 clubs currently that were confirmed as members, who we pretty much have probably got to know off by heart by now without mentioning them. 15 clubs were going to be guaranteed entry. 5 further more clubs to qualify on their domestic league performances. They would be played in the midweek, with all clubs participating in, and there would be 2 groups of 10. 8 clubs would progress to the quarters, and then the final would be in May. And also there would be a corresponding Women's Super League, which would subsequently be launched at the same time. Which would absolutely kill women's football. I mean, it's just on its way trying to get started, and I think that one's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, that was the proposal.
All right, thanks for that, Steve. Nathan, we'll come to you first. What were your thoughts on the European Super League when you first heard about it? Muted.
To be honest, when I first heard about it, I was actually thinking, wow, that could be good. But I didn't understand the details of it. So at first I was thinking that would be great, having a league where, a super league where you're playing against the bigger teams. But then when I realized it was just like people are just automatically in, I was thinking, how can that be? How can you just be automatically into, like just drafted into the Super League, no matter what your position is? It didn't make sense. So I thought, this is not thought about well. And I could see what everyone else was talking about. So it was kind of like, first reaction was, wow, that could be good. And then the second reaction was, this don't make sense. It's not been thought about. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to understand exactly where they're coming from and what they're trying to do. And then when I heard Arsenal were going to be involved in it, I was like, well, Arsenal are not even in the top part of the table to be able to be part of it. Years ago, you would have thought that, yeah. But now, how can they be like put straight in? And not just Arsenal, but Tottenham's and a few other teams that you're thinking, how can this be? You can't just choose. You've got to be able to qualify. Now, if there was a way to qualify for that and move on, like certain teams qualify to play in some kind of league, but then again, it's a league that's in place of our season, so it's not going to make sense. It's going to ruin our Premier League. It's going to ruin all the other leagues. So, to be honest, come to think of it, when you hear how the whole thing will work, there's no point. There really is no point. It's just going to ruin all football.
Why do you think the people who were organising it, why do you think they got it so wrong in terms of how they had the layout, how they thought it would elevate other teams that maybe were not involved in it?
To be honest, I think it looks like they planned it all behind the scenes and not letting anyone know, or not trying to ask people's opinions on how this could be actually done in reality. I think they've just gone about it and just gone, yeah, we're doing it like this. Right, who's in? You know what I mean? So you can't do it like that. If it's something brand new, people's heads got to think about all the possible outcomes, all the possible negativities, all the possible positives. What's it going to mean to our football and everyone else's football? I don't think they thought that through enough. And now when they see everybody else talking about, listen, you can't do this, you can't do that, that's going to happen, this is going to happen, then they realize, like, why did it take them to make the step forward first and then realize that, you know, what everyone's saying? They should have been able to do that. When you sit down at a table, you should be going through both events, you know, like the ups and downs of it, the pros and cons. And it seems like they just didn't think it through, and they just thought, you know what, let's just make money. That's the way it sounds to me.
Yeah. Jerome, I'll come to you first. As an Arsenal fan, how did you feel once they were named in this European Super League?
Look, obviously it's nice to be mentioned amongst those sort of teams, but really, you know, we're just about, you know, in the top few teams in London, let alone in the whole of Europe. So it's, you know, I'll tell you what the word is. It's embarrassing. Like, you want to be a great team. You want to play against the best teams and test yourself. But really, when you think about it, you don't need to think about it that hard. You know that, especially at this moment in time, Arsenal ain't that great. And they're not even ain't that great. They're pretty bad. So, yeah, maybe the kids, like people that are really young, they might think, oh, yeah, this is great. But, you know, if you've watched football for a little bit, you know, you understand that Arsenal shouldn't be mentioned when it comes to the elite of Europe. You know, maybe even when Arsenal were at their sort of peak with the Invincibles, it's not like they were winning European cups in them days. Arsenal got to one final, or one Champions League final and a UEFA Cup final a few years before that. But yeah, it wasn't right, especially for Arsenal. Yeah, and obviously a couple of other teams as well. But for Arsenal, it's not. Yeah, no good. No
Steve, let me quickly go to you. Could we be accused of being scared of change, or did they just get it wrong? Or would we have been happy if they would have come with a proposal that may have been a little bit different? Or is it just a change in general that people didn't want?
No, it is. For me, when it first came out, I just think it's an absolute joke, from top to bottom. It's just would destroy football, and I can't believe that these chairmen at these clubs believed that they wouldn't. And all this is money. It's nothing. It's about nothing else. Don't believe anything that you've heard where they said this will be good for football. We want to save football. It is the biggest load of rubbish. They wanted their cake and eat it. They wanted to go and play in the Super League in the week. As soon as you get entered into this Super League, you get £350 million per club. As soon as you go in, not for winning it, not for getting to a quarter final, not for getting to a semi final. Everyone got 350 million, and this is where I got to be careful not to swear. And then they got the cheek to think that they can come back and play in the Premiership just as normal as if nothing happened. With their £350 million,
yeah,
they come into the Premiership.
Yeah,
they buy everybody up that anybody can buy, and the league's over. It's finished. So the Premier League have looked at that and thought, "Are you having a laugh? Are you taking the absolute mick?" Now the front of it, It's the actual front of it. So the way I look at it is, right, you know this. Do you honestly think the Premier League are going to go, yeah, all right, yeah, no problem, just come back? Well, obviously they did. They actually did. They did think this. And all these apologies that have came out afterwards, where you've heard Abramovich, where you've heard Kroenke and Levy and Sheikh Mansour and Woodward and Glazer and Henry and that's I think that's a minute. And they've come out with these letters and these excuses, right? I've never heard such a load of old crap. We didn't know what we was doing. We're sorry. We got it wrong, right? What a load of old arse. What they was given a 171-page proposal on this new Super League, right? And the frightening thing was they had, how long must that have they took to read? So they were sneaking behind people's backs.
Yeah.
In these little dark alleyways, hiding away, just saying like. Eventually, they've signed it. They've got someone from each club to sign this 171-page proposal, right? And then they come out and they say, "Well, we wasn't sure what we was doing."
After 171 pages.
Are you telling me that they what did they do? Just didn't read the whole thing and then just decided that we would no. I mean, obviously, then we can go into what the fans and I mean it is an absolute joke. One thing I just want to finish with, Kears. One thing I wanted to finish with. I'm actually beginning to. I've heard Mikel Arteta speak. And I've heard Pep speak, and I've heard Tuchel speak, and Klopp speak. And I'm absolutely disgraced by every single one of them because every single one of them has come out now and they've said, well, they thought they had the best that are. How can players that Arteta and these managers who we thought would know better have actually come in and said, well, at least they did have the best at art. I've spoken to them on the phone. At first they had a go at them. They said, no. But now they've all back turned again. So I'm not happy with them. Not happy with them at all.
I think we're going to get a lot of that in the coming months, depending on how things are seen. Nathan, why do you think they thought that it would be okay with the Premier League, especially?
I don't think. I can't think of a reason why they would think that. The only thing I can think of is like all these teams are probably thinking. I'm thinking like Barcelona. They're struggling. They're thinking, what's life after Messi? You know what? This is not bad. This is like a little bring me up kind of thing. Let me get some extra money, and we're going to be playing against the big boys. We'll have enough to buy people again. Yeah, it'll give us some money, and that's probably what everyone's thinking. We're running out of money. We haven't got as much money as we had before COVID, right? That's going to help us. Oh, who cares about the others? It'll help us, and if we can get away with it, we get away with it. That's how it sounded. I can't see how they're going to ever think. Going so far away they're already ahead of the little, the lesser clubs. Then they're going to go so far where they'll never be able to catch up, ever. So what's going to happen? Unless you change the rules on, the maximum price for a player, the maximum amount that any club can spend, all that kind of stuff, you might get a bit of a difference. But with this, no chance. Absolutely no chance. It's just not going to work at all. And I can't see how they're going to work it. I'd like to know what they say about that. I'd like to know the details of what they were thinking of how it's going to help every club. I know if you sell a player, okay, they'll get the money for him, but you have no players. So what's going to happen then?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, as you said, I don't know how they thought it would work, how they thought they could come back into the Prem. Buying players is an issue. Players wanting to leave. How are you going to get a player to leave a Super League club to go to a club that's not in the Super League? There's so many issues that they haven't thought about. It's crazy. Did you quarter past? Your time is up.
Yeah,
Your
I've
time
got
is up.
my fasting to be broken soon, so I've got
This
to
is
get
this is
myself.
full dedication. Thank you very much for joining
Yeah.
us, Nathan. We
Thanks
will
a lot.
we'll catch you next week, mate. Or we'll catch you on the Roma versus Man United preview.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, I'll be
Big
there
game,
for that.
big game.
Big times.
Big game.
Yeah.
All right. Speak soon, then,
Yeah,
Nathan.
See you, mate.
Cheers,
guys.
Nathan. Time, mate.
Take
Bye.
care. Take care. All right, and then there were 3. Yeah, Jerome.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you think made them think that the Premier League would be okay with this, or do you think it was potentially? Do you think they might have thought a power play? What they're going to do without us?
You know what? I think they didn't even consider the Premier League. They just thought it was just selfishness, and they just thought about themselves because they probably, like it's like when you're going through on goal, and like you see you see your name in lights, like all light up. You think you scored the winning goal somewhere, and they just thought of, okay, if we enter this competition, we're guaranteeing ourselves so much money.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's probably at the forefront of their minds, and everything else is like it seems irrelevant to them. I think so. I think that's the key. The key word is selfishness.
Yeah.
And they probably thought, you know what, most of these teams playing the Champions League anyway, so they can combine the Champions League and the Premier League, so it won't be too much of a problem. But they've got it spectacularly wrong, and it's amazing that we started discussing this literally about exactly a week ago, and now it's just even in the middle of last week, it's just fallen flat on its face but obviously they're saying that they think that they're not going to try another Super League, but they will try something else soon.
Yeah. They're saying it's not over.
Yeah.
That's another crazy thing, and we'll get onto that in a bit. Steve, this has upset a lot of people from the other Champions League clubs involved, or not involved in the Super League, to the Premier League clubs, the 14 Premier League clubs that were not involved. How do you think these clubs can sort of mend relationships with these other teams? And do you think it will impact in doing business with them in the future?
As far as sort of on the pitch and as with players and as far as fans goes, I think that part's they've done football a favour in that part, because I think they've reunited football. I think they've reunited the fans, and they seem closer together now. And also, maybe the way the players come out and they stood up for what everyone else believed in, because we never knew what they were going to come out with. That made me sort of think, there's still something to grab up of my club and the football. But as far as like dealing with clubs over transfers, they're human beings, and there will be problems. I think there will be problems. We can only see what happens when when these things came up. But yeah, I mean, as far as mending the process of what they've done, I just think the UEFA, FIFA, Premier League, they've put their foot down. The government, put their football down, and they've said, look, you're not doing this. And I think that they can go and talk about all they like about they've not finished, and they'll go and try something else. Well, they're just only going to get the same comeback, and they'll probably be even worse next time if they've got the cheek to do it again. Because the Premier League will not have 350, 400 million pound coming in from these clubs into the Premier League. It's as simple as that. If you're Peter Scudamore, is he still the top dog at Premier League?
Richard Scudamore, yeah, I think so.
Richard Scudamore.
He might have moved on, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
You're telling me he's going to have let all them clubs bring all that money in and ruin the whole 14 of the rest of the clubs? It's not happening. If they go into the Super League for some mad crazy reason, it does happen, right? Then you never see them clubs in the Super League again. Sorry, in the Premier League again. They
Yeah.
because there's no way they let them in.
I mean, so we'll get on to that now. One of the actual rules in the Premier League, which is this is the most crazy thing. There's actually a rule in the Premier League that says any other competition that you want to be a part of in the Premier League has to have the approval of the Premier League. And to think that you was going to be able to pass this without getting approval of the Premier League is lunacy. What made these clubs think that they could just go into it? What was it? What was going through their head that made them think they could just go into it without the approval of the Premier League? Added on to that, the UEFA chief, he's come out and said that anyone involved in this, Alexandra Seferin said anyone involved in this would not be able to play in any of for the national team in the European Championships or the World Cup. Now, that is one of the things that disgusts me the most, because essentially these owners and chairmen have decided for these players that have got 3-4 years left in their contract that they won't be playing in these European competitions because they want them playing in their Super League. Jerome, obviously we've seen since the players weren't consulted on this whatsoever. How would that impact you as a player, knowing that your club has made that decision that you're going to be involved in the Super League and that essentially writing off any chance of you playing any World Cups or European Championships?
Mental. So that's like, all the top players in the world basically won't be playing at these major tournaments, like pretty much. So there's no Messi, there's no Ronaldo.
The younger ones, Mbappe.
Yeah, whoever you like. You pick a decent player, and basically they won't be able to play in an international tournament. God, there's just when you look at all the details of it, then you think like, how on earth do they think this was going to get like the green light from people? How do they think they were going to go ahead with it?
Yeah.
I understand that that football sometimes has to like maybe move with the times a bit, and sometimes they have to make slight tweaks to football, like for instance, like the back pass rule that they implemented.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to do here is like change the fundamentals of the game, basically. And yeah, it's made people very angry. Well, like, as you can see with all the protests that have been happening over the last few days.
That one point Jerome said about the never playing for your country again. That one thing alone should have, like, when they were sitting down doing their 171-page proposal. I'm surprised if any of these owners, were able to read, with the stupidness that seems to be coming out lately. But someone managed to read it for them, or something. But that one thing on their own that Jerome mentioned, that you would have thought that straight away you would think, well, the players ain't going to have that.
Yeah,
the players ain't going to have that, are they, Jerome? Do you know what I mean? They're not going to say.
What could? I mean, if you say to these players, right, we're gonna make some changes to the game, and what that's going to mean is you can never play for your country again. There's probably not one thing that the players would go, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever it is, and like it's impossible. It's never going to happen.
When you look at the people, when they were saying who the ringleaders were in this country, it came out. I heard it yesterday, and it's decided that it was Stan Kroenke was one of them.
Shock.
The Woodward and the Glazers at Man United was another.
Yeah.
And the Liverpool guy was another.
Yeah.
Well, Man United and Liverpool ain't surprising considering they writ that letter. So that's not like. But Roman Abramovich and Sheikh Mansour, they was didn't like the idea of it from the off. They just felt that they had to, move with the others because they would have got left behind. But when you look at those ringleaders, Stan Kroenke, Glazers, and DP Emery, they're all Americans,
Yeah.
and they haven't. I don't mean to say any American people watching. But when it comes to football and our history, you haven't got a clue. You have no idea, because people in America, and if it works, great. You have this system where you don't get no relegation, nobody wins the league, and you all think, well, what's the problem? This is great. You're going to go and play all the best. You're going to get loads of money. Well, I'm afraid this country doesn't work like that. We've got hundreds of years of history in these clubs, and we love competition. We love the underdog. We love the Leicester winning the titles. But when you see those three people that I just named, Kroenke, Glazers, Emery, all Americans, you just don't get it. You don't get it. And it seemed that Daniel Levy, Abramovich, and Sheikh Mansour did get it, but they just felt they had to move along with the times.
Okay. Two things I'll say. 100%, this reeked of an American influence trying to change to make something more exciting, which the American owners have been trying to do for ages. Whether that's calling Cardiff Bluebirds and changing the colour of the kit, whether it's trying to say that it's the Manchester Devils, or do you know what I mean? It's always trying to change a name. They don't want draws, and they want to make things shorter. Like these things, you can't come into a game and always trying to make it more exciting. Yes, certain things change, as Jerome says, back pass rule, whatever here, time wasting. These are done for a reason. These are done to better the game. Taking out promotion and relegation, what does that breed? Complacency. It's lack of competition. It's just going down such a bad rabbit hole. It's unbelievable. It will turn the sport into a farce, and it will just it will lose so much of the edge that football has. And that's globally. That's not just around that, and that's still in America where they have that edge. Yes, they've changed the game slightly, but they get influences from Europe. They get influences from the English league. So I totally agree. It's one thing I've got in my final thought about this whole thing. It's a part of
another thing. What was said by one of the Sky guys who was literally, I think it was Brian Swanson, and I really respect Brian Swanson. He's a really good journalist for Sky, and he's right up there with any football news that goes on. And he said that he had spoken to someone inside a club that he said that he would not mention, that these clubs that had sat down also, while they was having their dinner breaks in their secret meetings, had said that the players, they would be targeting this competition more than the actual domestic league, which means they would be resting players in the Premier League on the Saturday and playing full strokes.
Of course they would be. What are you tell me that they're gonna against Burnley with 4 games to go? Yeah, they're going to be playing their full strength squad when they've got AC Milan in the quarterfinal of the Europa of the European Super League, and that's the problem. That's the problem, and there's no relegation from that. It doesn't matter where you really come in the league. Okay. That's one thing I said previously. You got top of the league. Once you've missed out on that top of the league, where's the competition?
Yeah.
If it's anything like what we're doing now, where Liverpool have won the game 10 games in hand, Man City have won the league now, where other teams are just going to drop off. There's no point. there's no point. That loses the competitive edge for the teams down the bottom because they've lost their competitive. The teams at the top ain't fighting anymore. They're concentrating on something else. It's nonsense. Sorry.
See, the Premier League. Sorry, Jerome, go on.
That's all right.
No, it was sorry, you mate.
Oh no, I'm just saying that I think what the Premier League want, and they had that meeting, didn't they, with the 14 clubs, and not the 6 that wanted to pull away, is that they came out of the statement and they said what was the most important thing about the Premier League was that it was a competition, and there was relegation, and there was title winners, yeah. And I took from that if you don't, play along with what we say, we'll just kick you out. We ain't got no problem. If it came to it, you'll go, because you can't come in with all your money and just ruin our league.
Yeah,
Premier League's a multi-billion pound, God knows what. So they ain't going to just let it be ruined overnight.
Yeah. The UEFA chairman Alexander Seferin has also said that there will be punishment for the teams that were involved, whether that's being expelled from the Champions League for the following season. But they are saying there will be punishments. He's saying that the punishments will be slightly linear on the English teams because they pulled out first, whereas teams such as Juventus, Barcelona, and Real Madrid were still sticking by it, and as he's quoted as saying, are like flat earthers. They're going to be punished even more.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair that they're punished? Do you think it's fair that they're saying that the English team should be dealt with more leniency? How do you think it should go down?
Well, I think what the punishment should be is that the owners of these clubs should sell. That's what the punishment should be. Make the owners sell the clubs, and also it's unfair to punish, say, the first team, because it's nothing to do with the team. Like punish the people that have come up with this. Don't punish the clubs and the fans and all that stuff, because they had nothing to do with it. Like, but how can you punish people that are worth billions of pounds? What are you going to do to them?
Yeah, fines aren't going to do anything. So it's got to be
no point of fining them. Honestly, you can't do anything. You can't do anything to these people, and the only thing they can do is take points off the clubs and all that stuff. But yeah, they're impossible to punish. Basically, they're untouchable.
Steve,
which is sad to say.
Steve, what do you think they should do to Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and the English clubs that signed up on this piece of paper, although they pulled out first? What do you think the punishment should be?
First of all, just talking to a few fans from Premiership clubs, I think they would have still been quite happy if they was kicked out of Champions Leagues, if they was kicked out of cups, or even if their own team had points deducted. I think they would have welcomed it. I particularly would have welcomed it if Arsenal had been deducted point. Then I would have said, well, it serves you right. I know it's like with the players, and it's hard because you think of the players and you think of the fans, and it's very difficult. But when you look at other clubs, how to punish them, the easiest thing would be for the people behind it to be kicked out. I mean, I heard that this was against the law what they was doing. So I don't know what the law is, but obviously a couple of them already gone. Agnelli is gone, and now he's on his way out of Juventus, and Woodward has gone.
Vinay's gone.
Vinay's gone. these. So that's 3 of the clubs who were like right at the top of the tree. You know, when they was pushed for it to go through. So you know, when they announced that, you know, they would welcome the clubs back, and but only if certain people would be gone. For some reason, I don't know what but they've gone, haven't they?
Yeah. It says a lot about the way they've apologised as well, like so quickly. Where you're saying it's against the law, it says a lot the way they've made a quick U-turn and grovelled.
Yeah, they have. All apart from Florentino Perez, who still is like so deluded that he still thinks he's going to go and have a 3-team Super League.
Yeah, well, can we just get onto that for a second? Perez is quoted as saying that these teams have not pulled out because they've signed legally binding contracts, and we all know what legally binding means. So that's a light-hearted threat, and he's gone on to add that they've just gone to think about the situation as opposed to completely pulling out.
Rubbish.
Do you think he's lost the plot, or do you think he's just desperate?
He's lost the plot. He has. I was speaking to Ujon, who's big Real Madrid fan, and he was telling me about Perez, and he said the guy's a nutcase. He's mad. He's just a money piranha. And he said we are £1 billion in debt at the moment, and this is all about him, and it's all about greed. And there's no way it can't happen. This thing won't come back. This thing won't go. I mean, if they all want to go on, if they want to leave the Premier League, if they don't want to ever play for their countries again, then yeah, it might work. Yeah. But that's not going to happen. You know, there's too many. You know, the players and the fans won't let that happen. But the only way you can't. You know, you can't force these out. We can't force them out. The protests that fans are doing, which is all great. That's not going to. They're not going to look out the window and think, "Oh, well, we'll go now."
I'm glad you said that.
It's going to come from a bit. You know, it's got to come from the Premier League. It's got to come from UEFA. It's got to come from FIFA. I mean, these three bodies are really, really angry at the moment, and you know, they haven't let certain people got away, and they have punished them, and they've left, and they've gone out. That three top clubs, three guys have gone.
Well, I'm gonna get onto the comment section in a bit. I feel like we need to answer some of their questions and respond to some of their responses, because I've seen a couple in here where I feel like there's a good debate going on. So, Mihal, I can see your question there. We're going to hit you up with your question in a bit. Anyone that's got any questions or wants to have a little to and fro with us, throw it in there. I'm going to open up the comment section in a bit because there's some decent statements in there. I think definitely Steve would like to get his teeth into.
Right, come on.
Who do you think played the biggest part in this stopping, this breaking down? Start with you, Gerard. Go
on. Well, initially when it first happened, obviously the guys at Sky Sports had a big say, didn't they, in terms of Gary Neville. Yeah. He was probably one of the first to come out and really heavily criticise it. Whether he had a big hand in stopping it, I don't know, but it was good to see him say what he said. I know, obviously, the government sort of stepped in a little bit. It's probably a combination of a few things, really. Just the fan backlash on social media was massive. You had Peter Cech trying to stop all those Chelsea fans from blocking whoever they played the other night. They wouldn't let the team coach through. Peter Cech had to get involved. It's just a combination of a few things, really. I think the social media side to it was pretty big, and it was unanimous, wasn't it? It was just everyone coming together.
Do you think the football community could come together in more things like they did here and push for better changes in different aspects of the game?
Yeah, it's hard because with the Super League one, it's either you're in or you're out. Like it's a yes or no. With things like, I don't know if you were, if by that you meant like VAR. VAR's a very complicated issue. Isn't as simple as just we have it, we don't have it, because there's so many decisions that could be used by VAR and that might actually be decent. But yeah, you can't. I think you can let fans have too much say because there's because sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. Basically,
Yeah.
like you need people. You want people that care, but they need to have like a level head and not just think with your heart. Because if it was up to fans, there'd be a new manager every week at certain football teams.
Yeah.
But on this occasion, it was the perfect thing for the fans to get involved in, because it was so sort of, I guess, so black or white, like, you know, like yes or no. It was just like it was an obvious one. But I think other things are going to be hard for the fans to have a real sort of real impact on. Was there anything else you were thinking of, Kieran? Any other issues at all?
It's just more in general. I think that the way that everyone came together the other day, I don't think it'll. I know what you're saying with regards to it's a yes and no, but I think that the way that they came together the other day, they can. Let's just, for instance, ticket prices. That's a simple one. Like football fans the other day and the world of football in media came together for one thing, and that was to say that they didn't agree with this European Super League. They could do that to say we don't agree with ticket prices. We don't agree with. There's so many things that they could do. It doesn't have to be on something specific as like VAR, because that's a bit of a, like you said, there's so many different grey areas. But the football fan has been slowly pushed away for money, just because, whatever. And I just think that they could use a lot of the energy they used the other day in many other different aspects of the game that could help move the game forward as a whole. Maybe that has a spokesman that deals with it, that's more of on a level that's, like you said, is thinking more without his emotions and can translate that emotion and take that forward. But I think that what we saw the other day in a very short space of time, that energy can be put to very good use. I think if
the trouble, I think a big trouble is that maybe years ago you'd have owners of clubs that were like that were big fans of the clubs and they had their best interests at heart. Now what you've got is most of the owners are not in it for the love; they're in it to make money. And so having reduced season ticket prices, reduced how the prices of their shirts that they're selling, it wouldn't be in these owners' interest. And unfortunately, I don't know what the expression is, like the genie's out of the bottle now, and football clubs are owned by these billionaires that don't care about prices and the fans. So what they should have done before football clubs were sold to these billionaires, they have these fit and proper tests. And unfortunately, I think they're sort of past the point of no return with all of that. But people are talking about the German model, aren't they? You think Abramovich and the American owners are going to want to do that 50+1? No chance. It's not in their interest to do it. So I think we're in a bit of a mess, and it's going to be with all the will in the world. Without sounding too depressing about it, I think it's going to be very hard to change things, because I think we've gone too far.
Yeah, see, I was going to mention something Jerome said about the German clubs, because Florentino Perez came out and said that Dortmund, Leipzig, and Bayern Munich wasn't invited to join the Super League. Yeah.
Really?
Would it? Well, we don't. I don't know, but at the end of the day, when you look at it and you look at the way the Bundesliga is set up and the way their clubs are run, and like what Jerome said there, with the 50+1, run by the fans. I mean, so they have a voice all the time, and what goes on. And so I and also the chairman of these German clubs, most of them are ex-footballers, If you go and have a look, you've got Max Witzel, the sporting director of Dortmund. You've got
Salihamidzic.
Yeah, Zorc, Michael Zorc. You've got Rummenigge at Bayern Munich. These are footballers who will just turn around and say no. So there was so many different things that there was no way Germany was ever going to, whether they was asked or not, they was never going to go in for this. And they've got it run right. But someone would say, the thing I've heard people say, like, oh, could we do that? But it's too late for us to do that. You would have to spend 100 years to turn that around. To get like, the chairman to sell, and to make it our fans up. It's just what I think Jerome said it. It's just what happened here. But it's just greed. It's just greed. I'd go back to our own, and you look as you go back over the years, and the way he took. I mean, an uncle of mine was part of this, and they took like a 1% share of something that he's had 60 years of his life back off of him, because he loved the club. Absolutely, just a scum, a dirty, greedy piranha who's now got 100% of a club. Who we just can't do nothing, and that just tells you a little bit about someone's character. You're taking 1% off of an elderly person of 70 years old who's been watching his club all his whole life. That should tell you something about the people that run our football clubs.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's another step away from the connections of the fans. One thing I did say is Michal said the information was leaked and it wasn't a formal statement. Okay, so in the past 2 months, 2 bits of information have been leaked. Yeah. The first bit of information that got leaked was the information on the dossier that Manchester United and Liverpool had written up to say how they think things should go, how they think the Premier League should, with the best interest of everyone, arrange fixtures around them, have less games. Is it less teams in the Premier League in this dossier that was written? I tell you now, these things are not leaked. They're leaked on purpose. They're leaked, like Man United, they leak stuff to gauge how people react. A lot of people do this. A lot of clubs do this. A lot of business people do it. They leak stuff to gauge how people react. Notice how the last time that dossier was written, that dossier didn't come out in the end. After the first how people reacted to that. This leak, that came on Sunday, at about the time when we went live and we heard about it, How comes no formal statement came out from anyone involved in the European Super League for 2 days? If this is meant to be the next big thing in football, why were they acting like they were ashamed of it? So it's poor. It's so poor. So okay, if it was leaked, that it's so be it. But you should be able to stand by what you're meant to be backing. And give a statement on that. Because what we did for the next 24 hours was piece together what we thought it could be. There's me and Steve going mental because we're thinking our team's going to be leaving the Premier League. This is before we knew that the Premier League had sanctions where they can kick them out completely. So people are piecing these things together and trying to work out themselves what this European Super League is. That's not fair for the fan. That's not fair for anyone. These clubs involved, these players involved. But this is a disgrace on so many levels. It shows lack of care to anyone except for themselves. These are fully selfish people. Selfish people. And again, I say it again, I'm not scared of change. Yeah. If there's change to make things better, bring it in. So be it. Was I bothered about VAR coming in? No. Was I bothered about referees somewhere else checking rules and goal line technology? No. Have they cracked it? No. Do I hope they fix it? Yes. Do I hope VAR goes? No. So I'm not scared of change. Change is good. Yeah, it's always good. You have to evolve. We all have to evolve. Yeah, we're not trying to stand still. But there's certain things that don't need to change. Should we bring in 2 goals at each end to make sure it's more entertaining for the fan? Multi-bar. Like, no. Yeah. We don't need to do these things because they're stupid. They are stupid. And it brings an element of disingenuine to what football is. You're taking away that sort of the rawness from football.
Yeah.
You can lose, you can win, you can draw against any team in the Premier League. The thing we love about the Premier League, what makes the Premier League so good, is that a team that's come up from the Championship can beat top of the league, and not just once and not by luck, just because they've been better than them. And they've not got better players, they've just been better than them. And that's why we love the Premier League. That's why, look, some of the other leagues have got better players in there, but we ain't interested in those leagues. We're interested in the Premier League because it's the most competitive league. Now, if you take these 6 best teams out of the Premier League, who aren't actually the 6 best teams at the moment, which is, like Jerome said, is the most embarrassing thing, being a part of this when you're sitting in 10th. Like, that is a truly embarrassing thing for any Arsenal fan. And I think the majority of Arsenal fans, that's what they would have been embarrassed about the most. Being involved in this. Like, we get called banter club all the time, yeah? And and that's being put onto us. We don't want to be banter club and we don't want to be banter fans, but putting us in a competition where there's no relegation and no promotion, in an elite competition when we're not even close to being elite, it was shameful. Honestly, it was shameful. I was getting digs at people and I was just had to take it because I couldn't even argue it. Because it was that. I've got nowhere to stand. And you take it because that's your team. That's why you support the team. That's why you follow the team. That's why Steve was so gutted last week. Because they're making these decisions and they've not even thought about the people who have put these clubs in the position they are. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. All right. Where do we go from here? How much damage does it cause? Can they fix it? What do they do now, Steve? What do they do now?
I think this Super League's dead.
Yeah.
I don't think they can come back with anything. The Bundesliga clubs have put it to bed. The Premier League have told them if you go in it, you're kicked out. You're breaking the rules. The FA have come in and they said if you do go in, you will not be playing for your country. These are the 2 bigger things. You've only got the dopey arse at Real Madrid coming in and saying it's not. People are still going to do it. Well, I don't know who you're going to do it with. But like I said, you can have a 4-team Super League if you like. But I just think we carry on there. And in a strange way, I think it's there are a couple of things which is hopefully it will make football even better. I mean, the way the fans reacted, the way the fans pulled together, it was just so good to see. It was we do want people to maybe get together in other ways, such as in racism and something that I'm pretty strong about, which is online abuse and the way the players are handed at and And I'd just like to say I totally agree with what the boys will be doing on May the 3rd. So that'd be a good thing. But I just it's where do we go from here? We carry on. We carry on. We've got to remember that it's not the players. It's nothing to do with them. It's nothing to do with the managers. Although I say I'm a bit upset about some of them, the way they've talked. It looks like some of them are trying to keep their jobs and not say the wrong thing. But hopefully something will come good of it. But for me, the deals, it's done and dead, and we wait and see what the Champions League is about. And I'm not too sure what it is, but I think you know a bit more about it.
Yeah, on that. So the Champions League format.
Another one they're trying to change.
Yeah, so they're trying to change the Champions League format to make it more interesting because essentially what's been happening over the last few years is people are losing interest as the years go on during the Champions League. So they're trying to get teams more involved. They're trying to make more games more interesting to the end of the league. So it's not a case of you win the first 3 games, you're pretty much through. You play your second team for the rest of that. They're meaningless games. Essentially, what they want to do is they want to have, rather than 32 teams, they want to have 36 teams. That'll be comprised of I think it's 4 different groups. Those teams will play an additional 4 games. However, they won't be playing teams home and away. They'd only be playing teams home or away to test these clubs, resolve in different situations. Then a certain amount would go through into those groups. Slots of 3 and 4 would be awarded. So teams would go for that groups. For qualification wise, it will be criteria of the qualification for the Champions League, the standard one. Slot 2 would go awarded by domestic competition. So it looks like one of the cups would potentially, by reading this, it seems like one of the cups would be potentially get you a qualifying spot for the Champions League or even the qualifying legs. And the other one was depending on, I think it's one of the more controversial ones. It was depending on basically the status of the teams with regards to slot 4, 3 and 4 would be awarded to 2 clubs with the highest club coefficients that have not qualified automatically for the Champions League, but have qualified either through the Champions League qualifying phase or the Europa League. The Europa League or the Europa Conference League. So there's that new cup that's coming in. So apparently, if you win that or you qualify through that, you can get into the Champions League spot. So there's not too much difference with that, except for they're going to be bringing in more games, and they're not going to have home and away. You'll play. It'll be groups of 8, and then you'll play them once. And then, which gives it, they're saying, a more competitive edge. Who knows? Who knows? They're trying to change something. Whether it's for the better, I do not know. It doesn't seem like the majority of people are happy. But then UEFA need to speak to these people and work out what's going to be best. Because obviously, we don't want the Europa Super League, but this shouldn't be an excuse for UEFA to turn around and go, well, looks like you could just come back straight to us and we'll just stick with the plan that nobody likes in the first place. People should, again, come together and say, look, we don't want this format. We don't want the Super League, but this is a chance for us to sit down and work out what's going to be better for the Champions League. Who knows? Who knows? There's a lot that's going to happen between now and the Champions League, and I'm sure there's, as Steve said, there's been a few U-turns with managers. I think that'll probably have something to do with a lot of the managers came out and spoke out. Which, I mean, for the players to come out and speak out and the managers to come out is quite a big thing, considering I don't see many people in your everyday job turning around and speaking about the owners of these companies, the CEOs of these companies, and saying you were wrong to do this, because I don't think they'd have a job for too long. The U-turn, I don't understand it, but I can see it happening a lot. I can see it happening with regards to maybe a year down the line, maybe even 6 months down the line, that some of these clubs might have a U-turn in terms of how they say the Super League went. They might not even say it was the wrong thinking. That they might even say it was they had their best interest for the club, the way that Juventus, the way that Barcelona and Real Madrid have come out and said it. Who knows? One thing I did want to say is, which is important for, it's pretty much sums up what I thought of this whole thing previously. We don't take penalties from the halfway line for a reason. We're not interested in being called the Manchester Devils and the North London Gunners. We play to win, lose and draw, which is why we love the game. We're praised for consistency and good form through promotion, and we're punished through consistent bad form with relegation. We don't buy into leagues, and teams that do have to back it because they get found out if they don't. And we're not scared of change, but we do like change, but we like to keep an element of tradition with our team, which is why this is the best sport in the world, which is why the Premier League is the best league in the world, because we have these things in place. So yeah, we're not trying to change the game. We don't need to make it more exciting. The game's exciting as it is. Get fans back in the stadium, and you'll add that element of excitement again. Get fans back in the stadium, and it will feel like a new game. As Arsene Wenger said, it feels like a new transfer. We ain't had fans in the stadiums for a year now. Get them back in there, and it will feel like a new transfer.
Yeah, it was great today. It was great. It was great watching the cup final today, and even me being an Arsenal fan, and I must admit, I enjoyed Spurs singing "Come on, you Spurs." There was something about
Ghost pimples,
which made me think that made me think that I knew I loved football then, because I loved that. I just loved hearing it. I just wanted them to sing it louder and louder and louder.
Yeah,
because it just made me feel good. I love football. Okay, I love Arsenal. We got a bit of. I got friendly rivalry. I don't have a hated rivalry with anybody, with any club. My rivalry is with the club that we're, who's challenging us at the time. It might be Man United one there. It might be Chelsea. At the moment, it's the team in 9th and the team in 8th. They're my rivals. So yeah, but it was good. It was really good. So one thing I just want to say that I haven't said is that these owners, something that's got to happen is that they've got to be vetted each time they come into a club. They've got to be looked into what they're going to do, where their money's going to be put. They've got to be able to say that you're putting a certain amount of money in to do certain things, whether it's to transfers or to improve the stadium, and I think they've also got to be. There's got to be something in the law where they can't just keep taking money out of clubs and ruin them, because at the moment nearly every top club are in debt. So these guys that are coming in at the moment, taking away probably Abramovich and Mansour. The other lot, they're just coming in and they're ruining football by greed. I mean, our chairman's got no interest at all in Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah, I wonder what he'd be doing with that 350 million. Sorry, I wonder what he would have done with that 350 million that he would have got from because I just do not see him spending that on any players.
No,
like,
but he just but if for instance someone does buy Arsenal in years to come, which to be honest with you, I don't think he's ever going to sell, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The person who takes over, I'm not listening to words. I'm not listening to what they say on the paper. I'm not listening to what they say on the telly or what I see on Twitter and how they support Arsenal and they love Arsenal since they were a kid. To me, that goes in one ear and out the other. Because I've heard it all before. These guys have got to be vetted. There's got to be something that's put in place where, guarantees where, these rich billionaires can't keep coming into clubs and just taking and putting them in billions and paying them, ruin them, which is what ours has done to Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah. One thing that is a podcast for another day is it says a lot from when Josh Kroenke, after 12 years at Arsenal with the Kroenkes, turned around the other day and stated that they realised that they were wrong and things are going to change at Arsenal and that they're gonna make sure they do business. Well, what was you doing previously? Why did it take that protest of 5,000 plus people, for you to turn around and say, now you're going to do something? Go. Because if it's taken that now for you to say this, then this is just words. They don't mean anything. Your words didn't mean anything before then, and we believed you. You took us in. We were gullible, and I'm not being taken for a mug anymore. I didn't believe the last PA spin was too much. The last PR spin, was too much with the Gunner blog and the thing in the Athletic. For me, that was too glossy. I was like, I saw through it, and that's when I was like, I can't believe a word you're saying. I can't believe a word you're saying, because you said things like, "Oh, obviously weren't going to do that when Usmanov was in. Obviously, obviously, and when we see it, we will be spending." Rubbish. I don't want to hear any of it. I don't believe that you're going to go anywhere, but I don't believe you're going to spend. So it will just be animosity from me from now on when it comes to anything to do with any of our owners in the club. Jerome, what you going to say, mate?
I can't remember.
I was talking about Kroenke, broken promises, empty gestures and words.
It's very easy to say, "Oh, now we're going to invest," but until you do it, it doesn't. Like you said, it's just words. It doesn't mean anything. Anyone can say that.
Yeah.
The thing is, when I know you can't turn back the clock, but when the Arsenal, when the share owners sold their shares to Kroenke, and the guy had like 5 other sports teams he was interested in, you know that his focus isn't going to be on Arsenal, is it?
Yeah.
Like, if you sell to someone and they don't have any other sports, they're probably going to have other businesses because that's how they've made their money. But you want someone that is Arsenal is their soul, that is their pride and joy. And if it's another business for me, then they should never have done it. But like I said, it's easy to look back. But that was the big mistake, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a big mistake. All right. Before we get onto an Arsenal podcast, I am going to stop it there. Thank you for everyone who joins us tonight. Obviously, this is a pod that is very close to everyone. So I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of people in the comment section writing up. How you doing, Melvin? You got Archie in today. Mihai with, I think I answered 2 of his. Boom. No, UEFA are not innocent, Mihai. However, now they look like good guys because of the way that these people acted. If it's a case of UEFA are not innocent in this, then act accordingly, and you'll look a lot more professional in the way you do things. But the way they acted and the way they did it, they've not got a leg to stand on. So now UEFA, who weren't necessarily the good guys, look like absolute angels. They made it easy for them. And as you said, UEFA ain't the good guys. And they've got a tournament in there and they're thinking about money themselves. But now no one's going to see that. No one's going to see that. So
do you know what the Big Daddy was? And I was
Mhm.
waiting, and again, it was a bit of like one of them ones where you went, yes. When I was sitting by Sky Sports, and I'm waiting for the FIFA guy to come on and to give his views on it, and speaking to the governing body of FIFA. And when he came out and he said, "We totally disagree with this. We will fight them all the way." That's the end of the Super League. There's no coming back. If FIFA say no, then you're done.
Yeah.
He is the most powerful man in football.
Yeah.
I like him. I like the guy. And he come out and said, "There's no way this will ever happen."
Yeah.
So for me, once he said that, I turned around to my missus and I said, "That's it, done. There's no way this is coming back."
Not happening. Yep. Yeah. So for all those people that protested, well done. Got a bit silly in the end. I can't lie. Lost your heads a bit, boys. No need to be standing on the top of the superstores and we come on. I think some of the elders there should have been having a word with some of you youngsters. Yeah. Arsenal's meant to be a club of class, so we don't do them sort of things.
Yeah.
Right? We can do protests, but we don't start standing on shops and doing for Instagram posts and TikTok posts. Like, come on. Are you doing it for your club or are you doing it for the gram? All right. So leave that rubbish at home. All right. Thank you for everyone who joined us. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jerome.
Pleasure.
And make sure you join us. Make sure you join us next week. We've got the transfer exchange, the transfer roundup on Wednesday at 8:00. We've also got Arsenal versus Villarreal, team news, and post-match reaction. Hopefully, the post-match reaction will be of us smiling, doing a little dance. 3-4-0 head start in a cup competition. Doubt it, but hope so. Touch wood. And obviously, we're going to be joined by Nathan Ellerton for the preview of the Manchester United versus Roma clash in the Europa League. Yeah. Whew. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Peace out. Stay safe.